Hey everybody, I'm Boat, this is Flack. We're going to play Buggy Boy on the Amiga.
If you say it a bunch of times fast, it's funnier.
Buggy Boy.
Buggy.
It reminds me, remember the commercial where the guy was like, state your password. He's like, big boy. Big boy.
I'll change my password to Buggy Boy when I get home.
Okay. So, this already looks a little better than it did on the C64.
I wouldn't say better.
That's only to be
It's
expected.
not better, folks. It's different.
So, we'll do the same thing we did on the C64 one. We'll just move through the tracks. Off-road.
And I'm going to assume the controls are the same forward.
Yeah, I played the Amiga version.
Okay.
It's the same, so.
I haven't played it in a long time. Obviously, with your fancy 16 bits, yeah. You got,
there is one thing I need to do. Sometimes the old Amiga emulator runs a little bit fast.
That was a rapid Buggy Boy.
Yeah, we needed to take it down to about -70. That may be a little bit slow now, but you know what?
That looks like a rough ride in the buggy there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, this, even though it looks better, it's definitely not as smooth as the C64. And that may be a result of the emulation, because we're using WHD load and stuff. But...
And that's how the arcade was. When you would hit it, you do that diagonal flip, which I always thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then if you noticed, when you hit that concrete wall, you actually exploded.
Right.
I don't know that. I don't know if. I don't
in
remember
pole
seeing
position on the C64, do you explode when you hit stuff?
You might just disappear.
Right.
Right. You save everything you could save. All right. Let's see. It was north the winter one. Let's see what we get here.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to take control away from you for just a second. Okay.
Buggy Bully.
Yeah.
Oh,
are you not back? You should be. It's not working. Uh-oh. I might have just messed up. Maybe we'll just try it again. Shouldn't have done anything.
Oh wait, you know what? I think I was hitting the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if yeah, you know what? I think I was.
Should be green. That's the.
Yeah, there we go. All right, we're in buggy business here. Oh, see how that's cool that is?
That is pretty cool.
No, well, that still seems pretty fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
we can turn it down a little bit more. Let's just see. And I need to also adjust the audio here. Crank it up. And then need that. Okay, we'll put it at -90. That's as slow as it goes.
And you know what? I'll say this: that could be slower than the normal, but I'm okay with it.
Right, right. This
like,
game throws enough things at you as it is.
Right. It feels like this is about my skill, my reflex level at the age of 42.
Right. Those are weird looking. They're like half-built brick walls, just randomly strewn about.
In a race course, like this is the best place to. I just barely dodged that. All right, I need some light blue.
Now, is this pretty similar to the way the arcade game looks as far as the graphics?
Pretty similar. I mean, the arcade, I think, you would see that the buggy itself. Well, that's a bad place to put me. Yeah. It doesn't really seem fair, does it? That the graphics are even larger, like for the buggy, and there was. I think you had that graphic. Oh yeah, I see it right there. But there was a cocktail and there was a stand-up. I had the stand-up machine.
It's interesting. That's the only stand-up machine I've ever seen with a roll cage.
Well, buggy is serious.
It is
serious buggy business. Oh my gosh.
Now, when you had your Dune Buggy, was it pretty much exactly like this?
My Dune Buggy?
Yeah.
My Dune Buggy had even less features than this buggy has. My Dune Buggy had It didn't have doors or a roof. I mean,
Wow.
it was literally just a fiberglass. It was like Speed Buggy, you know.
Right.
And there were 2 switches. One was headlights on and off, and one was wipers on and off. So not speed or anything, just on and off. And there were 2 gauges that were the same size, speedometer and fuel.
Wow.
That were right up front. And I had to change the battery. The battery was underneath the back seat.
So it's like a lawnmower at that point.
It was quite, you know.
And was it built on some kind of a Volkswagen
It
chassis?
was, yeah. It was
Okay.
just a Volkswagen, you know, a kit car thing where they had swapped it out.
Jeez, how are you supposed to get through that? I guess like that. Yeah, this speed, while probably not accurate, is definitely helpful.
Well, you are in low gear.
Oh, okay. That's true. It's true. Maybe I should stay in low gear. I felt like I was doing pretty well. Ooh.
And I don't know about the Commodore version. It seems like you could in this one, but when you were crashing, of course, on the real machine,
Can you kind of steer out of it?
no.
Oh,
But you
okay.
could at least switch into low gear, so
Oh.
that by the time you landed, you were back
Right.
low, and you would shift into high. And I think
I'm sure you
on
can
this
do
one
that.
you were able to do that. The Commodore one might not, or the 64 version. I don't know if it can handle that. But oh, here comes one of those slopes. So see, there may be
Yeah.
things up on there, and you can just
That's neat.
yeah. It's just like those weird little touches. That,
Right.
All right, you got red, light blue.
Come on, Red.
It's just like Tetris, like waiting for a straight piece.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, oh, I need a red, and then every other color of flag comes by. You need light blue, dark blue, and then
Oh,
purple.
I thought I hit the light blue.
And I like, you know, from that era, they use those little tricks like you're going through a tunnel. I mean, obviously, it's just cutting part of the screen off, you know, but your imagination kind
Yeah.
of fills in.
Oh, definitely.
Hey!
Leg 2.
All right.
First time.
First checkpoint. So you get your little time bonus, and the hitting the logs and jumping can be good or bad.
Right.
You know, sometimes you'll clear an obstacle, and sometimes
It'll put you down right in front of
it'll
one.
put you right. Yeah.
Oh, man. We got no excuse for that. Oh, it's the double.
Yeah, and that's you know, the water takes more time to recover from.
Mm-hmm. Here's random brick walls.
Right. They're like, you know what, this would be a good place for 80 buildings that we don't finish. Right in this racetrack. I mean, it's literally, even if it wasn't a racetrack, it's a road. It's very clearly marked.
You know, one thing on your car podcast, since we're playing a car game, come on. So that's the wild card. What triggered that, by the way?
You got all five,
Oh, okay.
all 5 flags in the right order.
Did you ever take any of your vehicles to any kind of local drag strip?
I haven't, you know. I've considered taking the one that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Subaru WRX STI, but I'm so worried about doing something stupid, you know, because I mean it's not really a daily driver, but it's a it's a regular car. It's
Yeah.
not like something designed for the racetrack. So, but we do have a drag strip. It's Oklahoma.
it's a lot of flat land there.
We
so
have drag strips. We have this is I didn't know this was a thing, but a few years ago we went to the fair, and a guy came up and handed us a flyer and said, "This Friday night is lawnmower races," which I didn't know was a thing, and it's a very Oklahoma thing. And not only is it lawnmower races, they are really fast.
Really?
Yes.
So these are not stock lawnmowers.
No, I mean the bodies are stock, but they have different classes. You know, of course, it's really loud, and it's like the drifting. You know, because they slide all the way around. It's all dirt. You know.
Oh, man.
And we learned where not to sit.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
where
you can get covered in dust. I bet.
right. Yeah, just over and over. But, that's Rob. Rob. Oh no, I actually messed it up. All right,
That's
you're
all
the
right.
blank one there. We'll remember. I'm gonna knock you off the list here. Well, it's a different high score list for each track too.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that makes sense.
it's good for an arcade because you'd be like, oh well, maybe this score's higher or lower.
Mm-hmm. So it's almost. I'm trying to think about most of the racers, arcade racers at this time. You were able to select your track right off the bat. I guess I'm trying to think. This is. What year do you think this came out in the arcades? Probably 86,
yeah,
85.
That sounds about right.
So this is definitely, well, I wonder if this is pre-Outrun.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It looks much simpler than Outrun.
But it was that era also where, like, every year things change. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at arcade games, like from 81 to 82.
Oh, yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
I was trying to hit that log, but instead
it's tricky.
Did some buggy gymnastics there.
Can you imagine the size of that building if that was a real building? It's like the Pentagon.
Right. That's the one they finished.
Yeah.
Right. All these other ones they ran out of bricks for because they had to build that thing. Speaking of the Pentagon, I was all around there this week. Walking around Washington, D.C. What a fun city. Just millions of people that, I won't say they hate everybody, but they didn't seem to be fond of tourists. They're not fond of anybody in front of them walking slower than they are. I found that out, right.
I lived in the D.C. area for 2 years when I taught there, and but I never lived in the city proper. I always lived in Alexandria or in Maryland and Prince George's County.
I was talking to one of our teammates this week, and he told me that he has a 2.5-hour commute each way every day. Wow. He drives a little over an hour to get to the train that he rides, and then he rides the train, and then he walks.
Well, unless you're mega rich, that's the only way you can afford a house out there.
Yeah, and that's, I could afford this week a hotel across the street from where they are jackhammering.
Just constant.
Yes.
Constant.
And this is a fun trivia fact for you. At the Holiday Inn, Washington, D.C., parking is $40 a day.
Wow.
So just to park your car there. We don't have that in Oklahoma. We just have...
You got a lot.
Right, we have fields, right.
Yeah.
If there's no parking, you just go over a little bit further, and there's some more parking. But
it seems like, living where you live is kind of the best of both worlds, because you're pretty close to Oklahoma City, which is a legitimate city.
Yeah, I'm literally... Yeah, actually, we live in one of those border towns where mailing address is Yukon, but all our water and utilities is Oklahoma City, so... Yeah, we are very accessible, but the cost of living is so inexpensive there.
Right.
And especially I work for the government, and so everybody has, essentially the pay scales, so these people are all vying for different positions at DC, and they tell me what they pay for real estate and stuff, and it's just crazy.
Yeah. When I lived in Alexandria, this was 10, 12 years ago, I lived in a stable. It was a converted stable.
Wow.
and I paid, it was $800 a month, and that was cheap back then. I'm sure it's twice as much now.
I had a friend of mine with the government who moved to San Francisco, and he lived in basically it was a one-car garage that had been converted, so it was 150 square foot. It was 10 foot by 15 foot. And he told me one of the things he hated about it was he was always losing things because it was hard to be organized, there. And I said, it's 150 square foot.
Where are you putting
stuff? How far away your stuff get, It should be pretty close.
Could you imagine how much we'd have to downsize?
Oh my goodness! I have 150 square foot of Commodore floppy drives. Right. We're getting better as the time goes on. Yeah. So as you join us on hour 3 of this show, we will be at least getting halfway through the tracks.
And here we are with the last course, south.
Yeah, I think this is is this the one?
This is the Florida one.
Oh, okay. The palm trees. They're very. There's one. There's a palm tree one. There's a cactus one. There's the winter mountains.
Right.
I'm not sure what the other one was. all of them have water you can drive into. It turns out.
Did they ever port the Lotus series of racing games to the C64?
I don't know. You know, I mean, I remember the test drive and test drive 1 and 2. Kind of seems like that. I have to go back and check. I just got I was in a thrift store. There's a thrift store right by my house that never has anything I want. You know, I think at least around me.
Sounds like all the thrift stores I know of.
Yeah, you know, I know that the Salvation Army has their auction site.
Goodwill does the same thing now.
And so it's like the stuff that comes in that seems valuable, you know, just is going out somewhere else.
Right.
And I was in there, and I was looking in like the books and DVDs kind of section, and there was a copy of Fast Break by Accolade for the Commodore. It was a pool game. In the box, still sealed.
Wow.
For 99 cents. And I thought, where on earth did this come
from?
Like somebody just had one sealed Commodore game and they donated it.
Yeah,
you know?
The only thing I can think of is maybe at their house they put it on their bookshelf and just forgot about it, and when somebody donated those books, it just came
mixed in, right? So I went back the next week, and there was this Malibu racing game. It's
Malibu Grand Prix.
Yeah, Accolade, similar box. It's red instead of green. You know, in the same spot, in the same, and as human beings, we build those patterns. And I've been every day
since then
for months of nothing. You know, and I'm like, because if there's one, it's a fluke thing.
Right.
You can make up, you know, come up with.
You just wonder, like
story.
In the back, if they just have a treasure trove.
Right.
And they're like, we're going to put out
right,
one.
Here comes that guy.
Yeah.
You know? But when there's two, it's like, okay, now there's got to be. Because if it's just one, you can say, okay, there's just one. But once there's two, I don't believe there's just two.
Right.
Now I think they've got their hoarding boxed Accolade.
There's something
games.
going on.
So I don't know the story behind that, but.
What's the market on most box C64 stuff?
Well, you mean as far as like value or whatever?
Yeah.
Almost everything is really inexpensive.
Okay.
And it's because there was so much of it, and there's not a huge market for it. There are exceptions, and the exceptions are the really popular. Well, here's the things that I've seen that are high. The role-playing games that were popular, like the Ultima,
the Gold Box series,
right? And because the ones that came with things, like you needed the map, or you needed, you know, so if it had pack-ins,
if it
like
had
that,
ephemera, with
yes,
it,
yeah. So those seem to be worth more, and all of the record style, like the Electronic Arts,
those are desirable.
They're high. Yeah, those are. One of the things with the Sprite Castle that I was trying to do for a while was look on eBay if it was a game I didn't have and pick it up. Just, you know, one of those as collectors. You can't collect everything, so we create our own parameters, you know. So I thought, well, that would be kind of fun to collect, you know, each game that I did on the show. And boy, the minute I started doing those Electronic Arts ones and stuff like that, I was like, I'm out. I mean,
the plan ended.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've seen those for... 50, 60. I mean, they get up there sometimes, yeah. All right, you're taking a good tour of the South here. This doesn't look exactly like where I live in the South. Actually, our roads have, I would say, less rocks, but more potholes.
Right, it's inverted rocks.
Yeah, but we do have random brick piles all over the place.
Just
it's
all
very
over the
common.
place.
Yeah, it's a big problem for us in the Southwest, so...
Would you call yourself a Southwestern living person?
You know, depends on who you're talking to.
I mean, do most Oklahomans? Yeah, I just think about Oklahoma being like dead center in the middle of the country, which I guess Kansas is above you guys. Is that right?
Yeah, but it does feel like the center. You know, you've got I-35 that runs, through the whole country. I mean, it literally goes from Mexico to northern Minnesota, and then you have I-40 that cuts. So both of those cross in Oklahoma City. So, I mean, it's kind of the center. We're the heartland.
That's right. I heard John Cougar Mellencamp sing about you.
That's right. That's right. You know, they always say things. You know, we do things different here in the heartland.
How many shopping establishments have the word Heartland in it?
You know what? There's a I don't know how many shopping places. Lots of car dealerships.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
The Heartland Chevy dealership. But you can't get to it because there's brick walls,
right,
all built
surrounding
outside,
it.
right? So they do great business on grill replacements.
You know, I've gotten pretty far on this race.
I think you're doing good. Of course, you are in low gear again. So.
Yeah, that trips me up all the time.
You know, that's another one of those things that, of course, they had to figure out a way going from the arcade version. You know, of course, obviously in the arcade you got a gas pedal and you steer, and then you had the gear shift. You know, so they have to translate that. And on the Commodore and even the Amiga, if you're dealing with a joystick with one button,
right?
What do you do?
Yeah,
you know, you have the player hold down the space bar the whole time with their other finger or something, you know. So, you know, holding forward is a way to get around it, but you know, it makes it a little
what's
squirrely
great
to control.
Is when they put keyboard support in for high scores. Some Amiga games do that.
Oh, really?
And it's just awesome when you can just be like, beep, beep, beep. Well, folks, this has been Buggy Boy for the Amiga. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, adios.